When you are on this journey, don't miss the moments. Meet your moment where it is.
In this video, we're going to be talking to Dory, who has an amazing transformation on right line eating. Stay tuned to watch. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Angela. I've lost 60 pounds and I do the Bright Line Eating program. My channel here on YouTube is dedicated exclusively to weight loss content, tips, tricks, life hacks, recipes, all of that good stuff. And as of today, I am interviewing Dory, and I'm so excited that she is my first success story in terms of like reaching goal and maintenance. And I just am thrilled that she's here. Dory, thank you so much for being here and sharing your journey with everybody here on YouTube.
You are so welcome. I'm super honored to be here today.
I would love for you to give everybody some background about who you are and honestly, anything you feel it's important for people to know to get to know you before you get into your weight loss story. Tell us about you.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Dory for everybody watching, and like Finding Nemo, I always say that because that helps everyone to remember. And I'm originally from New York, so I'm a native New Yorker, and I'm Latin, I'm Puerto Rican, so we call ourselves the New Euricans, right? So I'm a New Eurekan, and I live here in Charleston, South Carolina now. This is home, and I have been as far as my personality style, I am a dancer. I love to dance. I have loved to dance since childhood. Some of my darkest, most craziest memories as a child, one of my ways to escape was through watching musicals, things like Singing in the Rain and stuff like that. And I was always mesmerized by that. And so I have a dance spirit, and I do dance salsa, and I teach fitness classes and things like this. So that's how that part of my childhood sort of showed up in my personality. But I didn't have actual dance training. So everything I learned dancing on the streets in New York, and that's what made me who I am as far as that side of my life. Now, in terms of everything else, I always disclose this, especially now. It's an incredible, vulnerable thing to say, but I am an adult child of an alcoholic. So I have been around addiction and substance abuse my entire life. So that said, food and everything like this became part of my coping, became part of my healing, became part of my escape, became part of everything. It was my best friend. It was my best friend, hands down. And so I was going through life growing up thinking, I'm never going to drink. I'm never going to do drugs. I'm never going to do anything like that because I'm so scarred by it all. And then, so I went through life super hyper vigilant, super duper hyper vigilant. And always I would find chaos. Regardless, there was always chaos. And, you know, I used to go to the nightclubs and I used to go party, and I was that and just shopping like crazy and just going into this New York style of lifestyle where it's just got to hustle and it's got to bustle. And that is so part of my personality. You know, I speak with my hands and my whole being. And so as I just got older, you know, I had always had a weight struggle. So since the age of 13, that's when I started my first diet. And so I, was a premature baby. I was tiny, and my mom fed me a lot to make sure that I, ate and got healthy. But at some point when my addiction for food became my best friend when I was a young child, I was chunky and chubby and just a belly and the boobies and like the everything. And so at 13, I started my first diet. And let me tell you what, my diet culture started at that age. And I did not stop. For as long as I can remember, from that age on, I was never enough. I was never good enough. I wasn't Spanish enough. I wasn't light enough. I have lighter skin, but I'm 100% Latin. And I mean, I'm first generation here in the United States, right here in New York, let's say. And so I just struggled with so much, and diet culture became part of my life at that age. And it was constantly chasing a number, constantly chasing a feeling, constantly chasing something that said, I belong, I'm enough, I have arrived to the world. And so lo and behold, Bright Line Eating came into my life after trying everything everything. We're talking about everything. Pills, bars, trends, shots. I mean, shakes, all the everythings. Let's just say all the everythings. And when Bright Line Eating came into my life, I was like, who is this SPT person? How is she in my head? And so the funny thing about this is that I never thought I had an addiction, because remember, I prided myself on being, I'm not that person. I'm not going to get involved with that part of my, I feel like my genetics or my family lineage or my family history, you know, it's a family disease, right? And so when I realized after reading Susan Pierce Thompson's email and listening to one of her videos, and that moment, I broke down every wall that I built up protecting myself from so much growing up in this kind of a way. I literally was bawling. I ugly cry. We're talking ugly cry. Thank goodness I wasn't wearing makeup. Like, it was ugly cry. And I thought, oh my gosh, the one thing I've been running from my entire life, I struggle with this. And that day, the journey began.
This is so powerful. I am just in awe of your passion and enthusiasm and your testimonial. May I ask you, because I know people think like this, especially people who are watching you that have no idea about the program, and maybe this will convince them, who knows? That's one of the reasons I make these YouTube videos, is there's somebody watching who will consider it after someone like you talks about how successful you've been. What was your highest weight? What was your weight when you started Bright Line Eating? What is your weight now, and what is your height?
Perfect. Okay, great questions. You know, I love these questions. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, well, let me give you my stats. So my highest weight was 200 pounds. So I'm 5'4" by the way, for everybody, I'm 5'4", and my highest weight was 200 pounds. When I started BLE, I was 166 pounds. And so my goal weight actually had been 125 my whole life. Like, I was like 125. And then after thinking about it and running through some formulas, you know, that's guided, you know, for us on Bright Line Eating modules, I said 123, they'll make that my goal. A year into my program, I woke up one morning, I got onto the scale. It was the weekend of my anniversary on BLE. I stepped on the scale and I was 119.
Wow.
119. Like, diets. If we're talking chills, you know, chills at the back, you know, and not the horror movie chills. We're talking about the chills on your neck that are like, a blessing has just like wrapped itself around me. And so, yeah, so my highest 200, my start weight 166, my weight when I hit my goal was actually 119. And so I usually maintain anywhere between 119 and 124. I stay within those pounds as a marker, because I now need to learn how to have a relationship with myself again in this way and be okay. You know, I'm okay with the scale. We don't obsess over it anymore. I don't pick outfit number 1, backup outfit number 2, backup outfit number 3. I don't do any of those things anymore, but those are my stats. And I've been maintaining.
Amazing.
10 months.
Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Say it again.
No problem. 10 months I've been maintaining.
Has it been, first of all, I have so many questions. I'm like, how do I even know where to start with you? But what was it like for you in the weight loss phase? I know you're in maintenance now, but how was it for you? Was it a struggle? Was it hard to begin? Or was it one of those things that just clicked for you? How was it in that weight loss?
Sure. You know, at the beginning, I knew that I had to dedicate. Number one, I knew that I had to jump in. There was no let me wait, because in my spirit, in my heart, knowing what I know, having been around addiction my whole entire life, you have to surrender. I had to surrender right at that moment. I had to get to the bottom of my bowl right at that moment and surrender, because I thought I cannot be held by the grip of addiction any longer. So in the beginning, I knew that I needed to hold space for myself and go into uncharted territory as far as applying it to myself. So in the beginning, I made sure to remove a lot of things from my calendar, to remove a lot of things from my to-do list, to literally make space for what was about to happen. And getting used to the vegetables. I wasn't a big vegetable, plan. Having come from a diet culture, I did all the things I absolutely hated to eat and drink because that was supposed to do good things for me. I don't like drinking shakes. I never have, but have I done it excessively in my life? Absolutely, because that's what I see everyone doing. And that's what I'm like, oh, I'm sold, I'll try it. But then I'm like, this isn't food. I like food, right? So in the beginning, I took that time to really get into the vegetables and the fruits. And I promised myself in the beginning, for anybody watching out there, I promised myself in the beginning, I will not eat anything I absolutely do not like. If I don't like it, I'm not eating it, because I have to find an alternative. I have to enjoy my food. I really do like food. And so I made sure that vegetables and fruits and proteins and grains were things that were natural to my palate, that were things that felt right, because then I felt like I was more like home. I don't like oats, for example. I don't like oatmeal and things like this, but I like rice. I like potatoes. So I'll use that as my grain and that'll feel more natural. So I did that at the beginning, and I coasted there for several months and made sure that I found the repertoire of foods that work for me, or the catalog of foods that work for me. I also realized that food prepping, like in containers and then sticking them in the fridge, that to me was, for me, with my past of dieting, that to me was a little traumatizing, because I thought, how many times have I done that and the food gone to waste and I've thrown it all out, and then I feel like a failure, and then I feel bad because I just wasted resources and all this kind of stuff. So I said, you know what? I'm going to prepare ingredients in big batches. The vegetables I know that I like, I'm going to prepare them in big batches, put them in the fridge, nice big batch of, Brussels or things like this. And I will build my meals quickly, knowing that all of these things are cooked already and I can just grab them and build. So that helps me a lot.
Oh, I love that tip. That is like a me tip. You just resonated with me right there. Give me an idea of what did you eat in your maintenance, or not your maintenance, your weight loss phase? Give me a typical day of like the foods that you like that you made.
Yeah, I love eggs and potatoes. I love eggs and potatoes. And, when I was a teenager and I used to go off to school, no lie, I used to eat TV dinners for breakfast. Like I would eat those frozen fried chicken and mashed potato TV dinners, and then go to school and go to the local diner and get a bagel with butter, in my New York tongue, with butter. So I tend to have a savory palate. So in the morning, I eat usually 2 eggs and 4 ounces of potatoes, whether it be home fries or, air fries or things like that. Usually they're like real potatoes. I don't buy bags of hash browns, for example. I actually will use real potatoes. So 2 eggs, 4-ounce potatoes, and then I'll have a fruit serving. Typically, I love mango, so I will do my 6 ounces of mango. And then for lunch, I would eat, in the beginning, I tried to do the whole variety of proteins with let's do chicken salad or tuna salad or something like this. But I found early on that 8 ounces, which is a lot of yogurt, Greek yogurt, topped with 6 ounces of blueberries. I had just developed a love for blueberries. Prior to that, I never liked blueberries. And so top it on there with 0.5 ounces of sunflower seeds. And then I have whatever from my vegetable batch. I would have my vegetable serving from that batch. So lunch would be like yogurt and blueberries and sunflower seeds, and then a huge bowl of, let's say, air fried Brussels sprouts with all the seasonings on them, because life is good with seasoning on it. Yes. And then for dinner, I would usually have a veggie burger. I would just kind of grill up a veggie burger. And on top of that, I would use for my fat serving some cheese, just a little bit of like a Parmesan cheese or something like this. And then I would do, to keep it simple, tomatoes. I would slice tomatoes, spray them, season them with oregano and a little more cheese to make up my complete fat serving. And so I would literally have this huge plate with this big veggie burger, a whole beautiful mound of sliced tomatoes sprinkled with oregano and basil and all this beautiful seasoning. And then I would sprinkle that entire plate with the Parmesan cheese.
That is
And
delicious.
it's delish. It's so good. Like it's pretty random, like veggie, veggie burger and then Italian tomatoes, but I love seasoning. So all the food that I eat has, will have either my Latin seasoning like adobo or sazon, right? Adobo is everything. Or it will have a French style seasoning or Italian style seasoning or something like that.
This all sounds delicious. You really make me want to go get some tomatoes. I'm like, oh, I got to get some tomatoes now.
Yeah, it's so great that just tomatoes and, that's my solid, don't need to think about it day.
Yeah, they're literally like tomatoes are an easy vegetable too, and they have like a little bit of sweetness if you get the small ones, which I think a lot of people who are new to the program really enjoy.
Yeah,
So,
and I still eat meats, I just don't eat it as often as I used to.
I'm the same as you. I'm not a vegetarian, but I lean towards the vegetarian proteins just because they're easy and they're good for you. So I like those.
Yeah.
So my next question I think is very important. And I feel like a lot of people watching this really need to hear your answer to it. How do you deal with temptation living your life?
Sure. Temptation is, boy, I have to say, what I learned as I started in that beginning phase, we'll talk about the beginning, the middle, and now. So in the beginning, I had to keep my eyes on my own plate. I had to, when you're a foodie or you have a diet culture, as far as in my personal story, and many can relate out there, how many pictures of food do you have on your phone? We love pictures of food. Why? I don't know, but I just find it extremely rewarding to have pictures of two things on my phone, food and my cat. You know what I mean? So I had to keep my eyes on my own plate in the beginning, and I had to learn to articulate. I had to learn, excuse me, to say what I needed to say to keep me safe. Even if that's meant to my husband, that's a trigger for me. I know I would rather not see that. Or if there was an invitation to go out in the early days, I literally had to be my own advocate and say, I love this idea. I don't think I'm quite ready for it yet, because I knew that, as fresh as I was trying to develop habits and rituals and new ways of eating and thinking, I just needed that space away from all of that. So that's how I handled it in the beginning, was really saying like, that's not going to work for me. I'm in a process of trying to fix some things, and so rewire my brain. So that's the beginning. Now in the middle, I actually had COVID for a long time, and I was a long hauler. So in the middle, I had a really hard time because when I lost my taste and smell, there was an inner part of me that went absolutely nuts. I was so angry and so emotional, and I was so scared. And that's how I kind of knew the work that I'm doing is working, but I'm still not quite there yet, because I felt panic. Like there's a part of me that's just so lost, because my nose and my smell and my taste are so associated with who I am, for all of us, right? And so during that time, temptation appeared. I literally couldn't taste anything or smell anything, but I went in a couple of times and I was like, surely I'm going to taste this food because it's heavily seasoned and I'm going to be able to taste it. And I tried a couple of bites and I was like, yeah, nope, still nothing. But the moral of that part was that I was having internal chaos over it, and I was really unsettled by it. So once I started to realize that in the middle, the only thing that I could taste was spicy flavors, I thought, okay, now when I was around temptation or temptation would appear, I had to remember the sort of temporary lapse that happened when I lost my taste and smell, and how unsettled I felt and how on shaky ground I felt. I felt like I fell off the wagon. My insides were just turned upside down. partly because I was dealing emotionally with COVID. It was both my husband and I. And so in Bright Line Eating, we learned this method called the WHOOP method. The WHOOP method. And so it's great. There's an app, you can download it, and it helps you visualize, like, all right, what's the obstacle, and what, I want to overcome, and how do I want to feel after this? You ask yourself a couple of questions, and that really helped to keep me centered because I didn't want to go off kilter. Now, and the third phase, as far as getting to my goal and now going, okay, I'm going out into the world. Now, I had dined out through my entire journey because I traveled a lot and all this kind of stuff, and you're forced to dine out. But I ask questions. So to handle temptation, again, I use my voice. I use my voice like I did in the beginning. I ask questions, or I let people know what works for me, and I check out menus before I even go to the restaurant. I make sure to pack all my different things. And if something is simply in front of me, that is like, oh, that's a sexy little food right there. Or an NMD, which is a glass of wine, let's say. In my mind, I have the constant mantras: that's not my food, that's poison to me. That's not my food, that's poison to me. That's not my drink, that's poison to me. That's not my drink, that's poison to me. And I just keep those rolling in my head. And the reason why I use those mantras is because through my journey, I came off 2 medications. I stopped wearing a knee brace, an ankle brace. I stopped having a lot of issues. And that was such a huge change for me. And my doctors were so impressed that when I say that's not my food, that's poison to me, or something like that, it just aligns with the fact, like, there's no more medication in my life. There's no more sleepless nights in my life. There's no more brace on my knee or brace on my ankles. I won't go off the ledge with my mantras.
What a rock star you are. Like, I'm dying. Like, I'm like, thank God I'm talking to you today, because I feel like you're just hitting the truth bombs right and left. And it's so powerful. I want to talk to you all day, and I'm ashamed that my laptop is dying. So I hate that I'm having to cut this short. I would love to make this part 1 and then come back in a month or 2 and do part 2 with you, because I have more questions. I'm like, this is not enough for me. I need more time with Dory. So I'm going to wrap today, but I want to get back with you in a month or 2 and reschedule a part 2, because I just have a lot more. And I would love to get the opportunity for people watching this YouTube video, if they have questions for you, to put them as a comment. And that way, when I interview you part 2, I can ask their specific questions too, because I know what I want to know, but there might be some people who have different things for you. And for those people who don't know your Instagram handle, tell them where they can find you on Instagram.
Sure. It's Bright Light Boricua. And I can type it underneath you, or I can give it to you and you can put it in the description perhaps. So Bright Light Boricua on Instagram. And I just joined TikTok too. Let's see how that goes.
Oh, you're going to win because you're a dancer. That's going to win for you. That's what TikTok is all about. It's dancing, right? That's your wheelhouse. So yeah, you are gorgeous. I saw your before and afters and you were beautiful to start with, but you're glowing now. Like, you just have that inner glow and your face is so skinny. I'm like, look at this queen, your face.
Remember, addiction lives in the dark. It lives in the shadows. And so you need to come out. You need to come out, even if it's one big toe, boom, right outside, just little by little. And then don't miss your moments. Take pictures of everything, journal everything, speak your voice, speak your truth. You deserve to have the life that you are so worthy of. So
I love that. You are amazing. And I look forward to interviewing you again.
Okay, perfect. Have a great day. Mwah.
Bye.